When I watch you on the television, I always think, I want to spend more time with you. When I listen to you on the radio, I think, I want to spend more time with you. When I got your book and I was asked to do various interviews with you, and then I read your book, I thought, I have to spend more time with you because you are kick A. There is nobody like you. You're a very, very, very unique person, individual. I love you for your honesty, and your book is brilliant. It's probably nothing. Congratulations, Naga. That's all we need now. You can go.
I'm doing that thing where I'm all scrunched up trying to make myself small.
Don't, because celebrate it. You are actually, we go on at the BBC all the time about the Make a Difference Awards, and I feel very honoured and very proud to be a part of it. And we have meetings and we do all sorts. And there you are. We have the most incredible people in the UK who are making a difference. You are one of them. With this book, you are making a difference. Do you realise how impactful It's Probably Nothing is?
I know how much I wanted it to help people. I know how passionate/angry I am about the status quo. And I know that there are women who are being told it's probably nothing and being dismissed and left undiagnosed and untreated, more importantly. And I think there is a reason for it. Many, many reasons for it.
I was going to say a reason. There's probably
there are
quite
many,
a few
many
reasons.
reasons that it happens. And I think we don't know. And I think that women and people who love women, so not just women, need help to call it out and to fight for their health.
So this book is all about women and women's health and women's stories, and your very personal story, which you shared on the radio, and then you've shared in the book, and you've shared in interviews. It is an incredibly personal and at times very internal look at your life. But it's going to help so many people. But has this helped you? Has the book helped you?
So I think I'm quite cold when it comes to my own diagnosis and health. I think because you almost, when you're in so much pain, you detach yourself from the part of the body that's giving you pain because you choose whether or not it's going to be an important part of your life or whether it's just going to be something you manage. Does that make sense?
Totally, because as women, just get on with it.
Yeah. So when you say, how did this impact me? It wasn't me that was impacted. It was hearing all the stories of these brilliant women and men who have put their faith in me for me to tell their stories. Very personal, often tragic, very painful stories. And I think that the way this book impacted me was knowing that there are some people out there who do trust me and have faith in me to tell their story well. And every contributor kind of saw what we'd done and how it was written, how their stories, and this is after hours of conversations with them. And not, bar a date change, there were no changes suggested and no unhappiness.
And some not real names, understandably.
Yeah.
Understandably.
And that's absolutely fine.
That's their choice. But again, I want to know how it's impacted you, though, because you have been so open about your personal health. So are you say you detach yourself and you sort of, that pain, it goes on, and we were very lucky to spend yesterday evening together talking about your book as well. And one thing I noticed is it's as if you sort of take that part of you away, the pain part away, and you sort of sit it next to you and say, right, now keep quiet because this is the non-pain part. Is that how you cope with constant pain?
Yeah, and I'll be honestly, Gaby, at this moment in time, I'm not in pain. I've had pain and it will flare up, but it's being managed with hormone treatment, and which is constantly adjusted, as is bleeding, and so I'm in a good place. But
you've had pain throughout your since you were an adolescent.
15, yeah, since I started my periods, and later on, as the adenomyosis worsened, I would get pain outside periods, outside the time I was bleeding. But yeah, I do. I hate my uterus. I hate it. I hate the fact that it's not well and that it has stopped me from wearing white trousers, which sounds silly.
No, it doesn't sound silly at all.
Because I think
know.
they're fab.
Yeah.
I have this gorgeous white tuxedo suit, which I think I've worn twice, and guaranteed days of not bleeding, you know. I hate the fact that I've had to worry about staying over at a friend's house, embarking upon a new relationship. Because when I bled, it was like a horror movie scene sometimes. And the poos are horrific. You know, can you imagine going over to, you know, your boyfriend's house and at a certain, you know, when we're all younger, they're either sharing a house or they've only got one bathroom. And you think, oh, I'm going to come on my period, and then all your poos start going funny. And you don't want to fart or burp in front of a boyfriend, let alone, and then paranoid about, is there air freshener and does the window open? And have I made sure it's absolutely clean? You have to detach yourself from it. You know, it's almost like bad experiences in your life. You make a choice, don't you? You make a choice to either let it define you, or you come to terms and you manage it, process it, whatever the words are, and then you put it to one side.
But is that not how women are treated by the medical profession as well? That they're saying, just get on with it. Oh, you know what? I mean, the stories in your book where the amount of times that a doctor, female doctors and male doctors, say, well, look, just get on with it. It's not. That's what happens. You know, that's just cope with it. It's probably nothing. Is that what we do as women to ourselves as well as the doctors saying that to us?
Yeah. You're told once or twice that you're making a fuss about nothing. You believe it, and then you start turning in on yourself and you start gaslighting yourself. You start looking around. So say in my broadcasting career, I might have, you know, you were one of my idols, still are in broadcasting.
Oh,
you see, you've done the thing I did.
Okay,
fine. Okay, own it. There you go. But I might well have looked at you and thought, well, she can do it because she doesn't have this. I'll never be able to do this because I'm going to have to stop at some point, or she's got all that energy. I wonder if I'd ever have had all that energy. And this is a woman who's worked shifts all her life, you know. In news, a really fast-paced environment. I work 6 days a week. I have 2 shows, plus other things, written a book, you know. So I think I've got a fair amount of energy. And all my sport. And I've got a fair amount of energy. But you think you're less. You think you're less than other women. And then when you think you're less than other women, you try harder and believe you'll never be as good as other women, let alone the men in the room. And then add layers of education and class and, you know, skin colour, la-di-da-di-da, social background.
And also, I mean, it's interesting with the chapters in your book, there are certain areas that people have this really extraordinary relationship with. I love the fact that my husband will very happily go and get our daughters their Tampax, their pads. Yeah. And they always say, oh, can you make me a hot water bottle? And he knows there's never a moment that it's not that's it. That's part of life. And it's wonderful that young people are talking about their periods and are talking about their pain, are talking about their anxieties, are talking about all of these things. But there's all those moments that also in the book. So there's menopause and there's perimenopause and then there's the whole aging thing and come on, women always go on about that and they always go on about and this and then and it's as if and then what happens is if a woman says all of those things, they'll say, oh, it's a woman being a woman, just pushing it aside. It's quite extraordinary. And I didn't realise until last night doing a Q&A with you with that amazing audience how deeply affected so many women are. I was naive. until last night, until I read your book.
I think it's because, yes, maybe younger people are talking about their periods and their pain, but are they being heard?
I hope so.
They're talking to each other, which is great.
Yeah.
We never spoke about
Boys in school talk about it to the girls, which I think is fantastic.
It is fantastic because...
Not all schools, let's be honest.
Yeah, okay, great. It's happening in your kids' schools. But boys need to know.
Yeah.
Because, one, they came out of a woman, for a start. They need to care about their mothers. They'll have sisters. They'll have, if they're heterosexual, they'll have female partners. And in life, regardless of your sexuality, you're going to have female friends or colleagues. You need to know what's going on. And by supporting them, they will support you back. The world will be a better place. Sounds kind of idyllic and Pollyanna, but it is a fact. I think one of the things that I realised actually when we were talking last night, because you spoke about, you just said, periods, perimenopause, ageing, sex. When girls start puberty, the message they are told, and they start their periods, is it's all about how not to get pregnant.
How not to get pregnant, yeah.
Right? And then when and I go through the ages through this book. I'm 50 now, so I'm not at the much older end, but done a lot. I'm half a century old, well done me. And you go through and then you realise when you start having sex, so I was 17 when I started having sex and I was in a relationship. And I had thrush at one point and I had cystitis at another point. And then I remember being told, you're having too much sex. Or well, you need to think about your hygiene. I'm one of the cleanest, freakiest, clean people I know, right? So again, then sex was weaponized against me again.
As a woman.
As a girl, as a woman, right?
Yeah.
So I was made to feel that, well, if you're having too much sex, you enjoy sex too much. And so that's bad. You wanton woman, you deviant. Okay. And then as you get older, then you get into your 20s and you have periods that are painful. If you mention it, get better when you have a baby, because the purpose of you having sex is to procreate. And then when you move on.
Taking me back to a doctor saying that to me, because I used to faint every month, and it was, once you have a baby, you'll be fine.
Yeah. So that's the answer, because that's obviously what we're here for, to procreate. So then you don't have babies, as in my case, and you get to your 30s and you decide you don't want to have babies. Well, what's the purpose of you?
Has somebody ever said that to you?
The implication is that if you're not going to have babies, I remember when I was sterilised and the doctor asked my husband if he was okay with it.
Sorry?
Yes. And I sat there, and honestly, Gaby, you know me. I'm not shy.
No, yes.
But I was so shocked, I just went, yes. And my husband just looked like, and of course the first thing I should have said is, what on earth has it got to do with him?
But is it also as if you two hadn't had that conversation and about how you feel, you personally, Naga feel, and then hit your husband, who I met last night, what a lovely man, your husband then saying, talk to me about how you're feeling. And then oh gosh.
And the fact that my husband was there anyway should have been a sign that we were in this together. So now I'm going to be sterilised to not have babies so that I can have sex without worrying about contraception. Fine. But then a friend of a similar age, when she was around that age, was having UTIs and didn't want to have babies. So UTIs were making sex so painful and destroying her marriage. It was only when she said, my husband's struggling because we can't have sex. Right, we'll look into it because you need to be able to take his penis to make him happy. That's your purpose.
Yeah.
And then you get to perimenopause and menopause, and vaginal dryness is a real symptom, obviously, of perimenopause and postmenopause. And you're looked at as if to say, but why do you need to have sex? Why do you need to have sex?
Because you're not making babies anymore.
But why should a woman go out to enjoy sex? And then when you're much older, and there's a woman in the book who was having sex when she was older, and it had her husband had died a couple of years before. She hadn't had sex. She had a younger partner, was struggling. And there is the, if you don't use it, you lose it kind of thing. You know, the body gets used to having sex or not having sex. And the guy said, I'm just too well endowed for you. She finally saw a pelvic physiotherapist and was given various treatments and has a very fulfilled sex life. But the doctor wasn't interested in her having sex. I mean, how many women will feel comfortable saying to any doctor, I'm not enjoying sex as much, I'm not lubricated as much, what can we do? And for there to be more than use a bit of lube or have a glass of wine or just do it once because then it'll get easier. Do it once so it feels like there's a metal rod covered in sandpaper going in and out of your vagina. Do that once and it's okay. Because it's not for us to enjoy sex. It's for us to procreate and to make sure men enjoy sex.
What is so shocking is, and apologies for repeating myself from last night, but this is 2025 where, thank goodness, things are discussed. Thank goodness. I mean, my dad had bowel cancer 29 years ago. And thank goodness that last month I was able to talk about bowel cancer because my late lovely friend Debs as well, talk about bowel cancer and talk about poo. Mm-hmm. When my dad was diagnosed, Dad was a newsreader, they said, please, Clive, don't say the word poo. Don't say the word bottom. And he went, but I have had bowel cancer. Can you say bowel? Don't say bottom, don't say bum, don't say poo. 29 years later, we're trying to break the poo taboo. You're trying to break these taboos. But this is 2025. We should be able to talk about all these things without people doing which they do, the raised eyebrow thing. And the fact that a doctor is still saying these things. And you come from a medic family, I come from a medic family, and there are some wonderful doctors out there, and there are some wonderful GPs out there. And they do break the sort of the fear, the worry, the anxiety that people have about going to a GP. I mean, there's lots of stories in there as well about that. But you have a great way to arm yourself for going to a GP, and I'd love you to say that on here.
You have to think of a GP appointment as a partnership. So you are going in for a service, but you can't expect to be served if you don't tell them what you want. You have to almost go in with a shopping list. So, it's like, think of it like going to the hairdresser maybe. Gaby, you've got shoulder length hair just below the shoulders, and you've decided you want a short, sharp haircut. So you go in and say, I want a short, sharp haircut. Say nothing else. Who knows what you're going to end up with, and how can they figure anything out? You have to tell them what your lifestyle is. You have to tell them how it works. You have to do this with the doctor. So you have to keep track of your symptoms. So say if it is reproductive health and periods, for example, how are they making you feel? How is it impacting your life? If something is negatively impacting your life, you have a right to ask for help to change that because you're not able to be your best self. That's the most basic thing. If it's negatively impacting your life, you have a right to be at the doctor, book that appointment. You have a reason. It's justified. There it is.
It's a great idea, though, to go forearmed is forewarned.
Yes.
Having it all written down.
And have questions, have your symptoms, track them over time. So you can say, on this day, I couldn't take my children to school. On this day, I couldn't go to work. I've now lost 6 days in the last month of work because I physically can't move. When you say things like that, then it's recognised. If you go, as I did, my periods are really heavy and they're really painful. Oh, that's normal. It's not, by the way. But it's a really easy... So you have to go in armed. And also doctors are like, they love puzzles. We're all puzzles. The human body is a puzzle. And these are bright, smart people who have studied for ages and have learnt so much stuff, and they like you putting their knowledge to use. So if you give them all these clues, then they can come to the solution much more quickly, and you only have 10 minutes. So you have to go in armed with the information, so they're armed with the information. Then they can apply their medical knowledge, and hopefully you can come towards an answer, or at least closer to an answer than where either of you were before.
It's very interesting because after the conversation we had last night, and then went home and I was talking to my husband about it, and I wonder if a lot of people that understandably are scared of going to the doctor. Okay, I understand the fear because it's the unknown. People do Google it and they'll say, they'll look at the contraindications and they'll think, oh no, I don't want to take that tablet. Or what if I have this with my heart? That's whatever it is, there's fear. So I do believe there's a lot of fear there. There's also a lot of people who are very angry with GPs. So they go in fearful and then angry with the GP before it all happens. But I love the idea of going in with a list. And as you say, being really specific and say, this is what I've got. And especially as a woman, so you don't get, it's probably nothing. How many times, when you spoke to all of these women...
Oh, can I just add something about the GP appointment?
Yeah.
When you've been to the GP, write down what they say.
Oh, that's also brilliant.
And also, if you have any questions after... book an appointment you can have that as a phone appointment to get those questions answered or emailed back to you. And if you are fearful of a GP, you can take an advocate. You can take someone who loves you, who knows you, who will sit there and they don't even have to say anything. Or they can be the ones who say, no, she says she has period pain and she's not sleeping. She's sleeping on the floor because she wants to be so uncomfortable that she doesn't think about her period pain. You need someone who knows you have changed. You are less than you usually are or can be. Great
point. Actually, which reminds me, I'm going to actually go back to what I was saying before, but I think you saying take somebody, it's a lot of loneliness around it. We talk about loneliness a lot. I talk about it on the radio, I talk about it on this a lot as well, on the podcast, and I talk about it on some TV shows, and we're working on a whole big thing about tackling loneliness. And it's interesting that a lot of loneliness it's female or male across the board. It's completely sort of 50-50. But there's a lot to do with periods and worry about pregnancy and worrying about not getting a partner. And that's now. That's now. And so they don't have that person to go with them.
But there are also
and then
groups.
They're scared.
There are groups that you can call, charities and groups that you can call so that you can have an advocate, even if it's someone who doesn't know you. So there will always be someone who can do that for you. That's
brilliant. Yes, that's really important. So can we talk about you and your career, if we may? So how did it all start? Because you medical background, both your parents.
Nurses, yeah.
How did it start for you going into news and journalism and television and radio and author? Look at all that.
I'm an author. Today's my publication day.
Today's your publication day.
I've already been sent a picture by a friend of my book on the bookshelves in a shop.
Exciting. You've got to go and look at that.
I'm going to go to a bookshop.
It will blow your mind.
I'm so excited. Yeah, both my parents were nurses. My dad still works. My mum left nursing when I was about 13 and went and worked for the Inland Revenue. But yeah, both nurses, and my uncle was a doctor, GP here as well. So, and they are immigrant Asians, and they wanted me to be one of two things: a lawyer or a doctor.
A lawyer or a doctor, yeah.
A lawyer or a doctor. I was very smart at school, a real smart cookie, naughty but smart.
Did you surprise me?
Had no clue, Gaby, what I wanted to do.
Oh, really?
No clue. And the thing I enjoyed the most was English. And so when I decided to study English at university, because I was good at maths, I was good at science, I was good at history, I wasn't particularly sporty. I was a musician. I attended music college every Saturday. I had done since I was 9.
Do you still play?
No, I play the piano. I can't play the trumpet anymore. I had to give it back to ILIA. Do you remember ILIA?
Yes.
In the London Education Authority. Because they lent me my trumpet and I couldn't afford one when I left school.
Would you buy it now? Buy another one?
Tried, in my 30s, I tried, and your embouchure changes so much. And I'm one of those people, if I was good at something once, I have to stay good at it, otherwise I won't do it.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Because I'm so competitive and so...
Wow. Sorry, yes,
frustrated.
You went to university.
So I went to study English at university when my mum said to me, "What are you going to be, a poet?" She was furious. She was so disappointed. And so I went to uni because I just think, and I still think this is the best advice, if you're going to do anything, do something you're interested in. When you're picking your GCSEs or your A-levels or a degree, if you choose to go to university, do the thing you enjoy, because it will be the thing you're best at. You won't be brilliant at something you don't enjoy, I genuinely think. So I did English and I did love it. and went to Leeds. And then I joined the student paper because I thought I better do something in my spare time rather than just playing cards and reading books. Didn't you do that? I just all played cards all the time.
Yeah, I went to drama school. It's a different, whole different world.
You were all like the Fame Academy.
Lots of singing. Yeah.
So joined the student paper. And then kind of found that really interesting because I was just finding out stories and talking to people and telling stories, which is the easiest thing in the world for me. So I then kind of got some work experience at the Observer, the Times, the Evening Standard, and all this kind of stuff. And then
what places to get work experience?
Yeah,
wow.
And it was easier then. It's impossible now to get work experience, as you well know. How many people ask you, "Can you get me into the trainee scheme?" No, we can't do a thing. And so I decided I didn't want to leave education because I didn't want to go out and work. So I did a postgrad at City University in newspapers. Really hard to get into course, and I got in. And I did that, and then you get more opportunities kind of for work experience. And I left and I joined the Evening Standard as a financial reporter. And I did that, and I was also working at the Observer as a business reporter. So I did that for about a year and a half. Standard I left after 3 months, stayed with the Observer. Then a friend of mine from my course was working at Reuters Financial Television as a camera person. And he said, "Oh, they're always looking for people, come in." And I went in and kind of wrote some scripts and stuff. And then they said, "Oh, you can go on camera." Madness. There's a reason Reuters Financial Television doesn't exist anymore. And I went on camera. It was bloody awful. And I didn't want to do it at all. I much preferred kind of telling people the info and making sure they asked the right questions. But so
there was nothing of that you enjoyed?
Oh, it was terrifying.
Right.
It was terrifying. Plus, I looked about 12. So
you still do. You still do.
I looked about 12, so I was never going to be believed. So I was always trying to kind of be older and seem wiser, which is, you should never not be yourself on telly. You know that, or on any broadcasting medium. So then I went to CNBC Europe, where I started as an assistant producer and worked my way up when I became in charge of like morning programming, and loved producing, loved managing tricky presenters and making sure stories were accurate, making sure we were breaking news. And it was very fast paced and accuracy was key because it was financial news. And then I went to Channel 4 News and as a producer, and they used to have a program called News at Noon, and I was in charge of the business segment of that. And I started reporting for them and enjoyed the stories I was reporting on. Everything. I was never given the major stories, obviously, because they have brilliant correspondents. But then I was producing brilliant editors and correspondents as well on major stories, the July bombings, so much that went on. And then I went to Bloomberg, where I fronted my own programme, early morning programme, and one of my jobs was basically to go and interview central bankers and big financiers and big market movers and get news lines and break news. And I remember talking to one central banker and breaking quantitative easing. And
wow.
Yes, and that was, the whole start of the financial crisis, and that was great. And just kind of, and that was following him around basically for 2 months at various events and making sure he knew who I was. And so then when I did speak to him, started pushing him, we got this line.
So that's the adrenaline buzzing through you
and
now.
it's the terrier, you're never letting go. And just kind of poking the bear a bit more. I like to do that. And then the BBC came knocking to do Working Lunch. And I did that with Declan Curry for 2 years. And that was personal finance, which was very much out of my comfort zone, actually, because I'm much more economics and finance-based business journalist. Did personal finance, which is obviously ridiculously important. And we all need to be better and know more and be more interested in money. And then was doing BBC News, worked my way around BBC World News. Again, fantastic experiences, horrific stories, but milestone moments. I love breaking news. I love live news. I'm not someone...
Live television, there's nothing
better.
Nothing, that and live radio.
Yes.
Just live, being in the moment and nobody's editing it, just going for it.
And you have to learn to accept your mistakes and admit them.
Yeah.
As you do, as you make them, because none of us is perfect. And also keep a very, very calm head.
I love mistakes. Mistakes are important.
They are in certain things, but
Not in news.
You can't do that.
Not
If
news.
you're breaking the Pope's death, you can't get that wrong. Really.
No, yes. Yeah, okay.
You can,
She's gone to an extreme.
In entertainment, you can, people, even on breakfast, and on radio, people love seeing if the sofa falls apart or, Charlie kicks over a bottle of water again, and
I love
all
the
this.
relationship, you and Charlie together. And I like, obviously, Big Ben Thompson.
Ben Thompson.
Love him. But I love it. There's that twinkle in your eye. I can tell when you're loving a story. And also when you get hold of a story, and I can just see when watching you, you're a master of it. You'll go in and then you'll get that little hook and I can see you sort of reeling them in. And I'll just be watching and think, how did she get them to say? I mean, it's brilliant, but I can tell that you love it.
Yes.
And I'm so pleased. It's interesting you said you didn't know what you wanted to do and you've ended up doing something you absolutely passionately love and you care about as well, because you couldn't do what you do without caring about it. So people who are listening to this thinking, but I'm there and I don't know what I want to do, even if they're 30, 40, 50, 60.
What do you enjoy?
Yeah.
What makes you happy?
Yeah. What makes you happy?
What makes you happy? What kind of would get you out of bed in the morning?
We have to, because it would be remiss if we didn't. Strictly. Yeah, you danced on Strictly. I would never, never. The idea, I would poo myself live on Saturday night. No, I don't want to go.
We all have special pants on Strictly, so that when you do poo yourself, it's fine. That's a joke.
I mean, you need balls to do that.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy dancing?
I love dancing.
Good.
Like, you and I have to go out dancing.
We'll dance after this.
Yeah, okay.
In the street.
Great.
I love that. Don't judge me and give me points, because I can't do it. If somebody
I would never judge anyone.
One. If somebody says left, right, and turn, I'd be, can I go right, and turn and back?
Shall I tell you what used to happen? Pasha Kovalev was my partner.
Sweet man.
Very lovely man. And I think he thought that because I do news and have to remember a lot of stuff, that I'd have a really good memory. My memory is a goldfish bowl. Like, I'm a goldfish in the goldfish bowl, because
most presenters are. We all do, because you have to learn a lot of stuff
exactly.
quickly.
So I get in the morning. I have 60 pages of briefs to read and know about when I'm on breakfast. And of course, there's a whole wealth of information in the background. I'm constantly reading the news and everything. And it's the same for radio. I do so many interviews, and you have to really know your subject and then flip. When I get home, I can tell you probably by 11 o'clock, I would have forgotten what our top headline was.
I hear you. People think I'm mad when I say that.
Yeah. So when I was learning these routines, I'd pick things up really quickly, and then I'd come in the next day and he'd go, right, well, we'll just get into this. And I'd be like, we did this yesterday. We did it yesterday. And it was almost like we'd spend the first hour starting again. And I could just see the confusion on his face. And then I'd get back into the routine. And it honestly, I'm not a good learner. This is why I would never do, I've done a couple of documentaries, but I find them really painful.
You need to do a documentary about this, though. That needs to be done.
Yes. I can't stick at one subject for a long. I'm amazed I wrote a book, but there are so many different things to talk about in this.
It's not just, it's a subject, but it's a subject with so many offshoots and areas of it.
So Strictly, I loved the training because I love being fit. Like, and I'm disproportionately strong for my size.
What? Who says so?
Gym trainers and
oh, really?
And people who I might have just accidentally pushed.
Remind me not to get in your bad books or get in your way.
And I hit the ball a mile at golf.
A mile?
Not a mile, but a long way.
No, I don't know golf. I've played golf once.
Hey,
and the man said, the very nice golf coach, he said, right, do that, and you put your hands there, and you do this, and then you look at the ball, and you hit the ball.
Did you hit the ball?
I hit the ball, but I looked at him while I hit it, and it went in the hole, very far away.
That was putting.
No, it was a big
You had a hole in one?
Yeah, and this was the very first time I'd ever hit a golf ball, apart from crazy golf, which I love. I love doing crazy golf, putt-putt, that thing. And then I was looking at him, and it just went in the hole. I went, don't be silly. And it was purely accidental. And then I went, okay, I've played golf now. It was a fluke.
See that kind of my arms are crossed and I'm kind of scowling a bit? Any golfer hearing this will just hate you.
Well, I've only done it once. It was by accident.
Shut up, Gaby. I only done it once. I got it in the hole. I only done it once. I've done golf.
Oh my God. Like I said at the very beginning of this, I always wanted to spend more time with you. You do realise when you leave here today, look over your shoulder because I might be following you everywhere you go. I might be. Rich is looking at you over your shoulder. He's thinking she's going to stalk. I'm going to be stalking Naga now forever. Naga, thank you. Congratulations on your book. It's probably nothing. You are most definitely something. That's a corny line, but I really believe it. I think you're fantastic.
Back at you.
Gaby Roslin Podcast.